Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for my review of the AMAIM Warrior at the Borderline Episode 7, The Hunt. We start off the episode with everyone kind of getting to know the main character, Shion, and the three AIs begin to bicker among themselves. Definitely not enough Angelo, who we learn is the alternate persona of Shion's AI. We then cut to Brad Watt, who's like the red-haired military guy who's been following the main characters for the last few episodes. I'm sure they've mentioned his name before, but this was the first time that I caught it. He's part of the North American bloc in Japan, and Japan seems to like the North American crew, or at least more so than the other blocs that we've met so far. Brad Watt also has a tragic backstory. His parents died of anime illness, and he was adopted by a military captain. However, he was also very sad, and the only thing that let him sleep was being in an AMAIM, so he also joined the military. Because of this, he is very anti-unmanned AMAIMs. I think this is an interesting concept. He's basically kind of like Treize from Gundam Wing, but this is a very, very, very stupid motivation for it. We also learn a lot more about the AIs. First, they're called Intelligent Learning System, and we also learn that they are probably all created by the same person. The characters also speculate on the origins of the AIs and determine probably that they were all made by the same person. We also learn that only 4 of the AIs are known right now. There's the 3 main characters and the ghost, so sort of importantly, none of the blocks have them. Around the same time, Watt and co are being prepped on a mission to catch the ghost so that they can get its tech. So Watt recruits some top pilots to capture the ghost. Basically, the plan is to cut off the power to the area that ghost is in and to draw him out. At least this episode is trying to do something interesting rather than just like, oh, we're going to attack him again. They actually, formulate a plan that, has like a point to it. Unfortunately, the plan does not go particularly well. Watt tries to outsmart the AI using creativity, and we kind of see how the AI is starting to adapt to the environment. Initially, the AI doesn't really know how to fight against human opponents because it's used to fighting the unmanned AIs, but then it sort of adapts and then it manages to kill one of the pilots. Now, the next part kind of got weird. So the one pilot dies, and then his AMAIM has some sort of rudimentary AI that works for a second and then fires off a shot that hits Ghost. I watched the part a few times, but thematically it wasn't really super clear. It's the whole point was to show humans fighting AI, but then the only things that was effective against the Ghost was another AI. I think I'm probably giving the show way too much credit for trying to have a deeper meaning in the plot. The distraction from the shot allows Watt to get the kill shot on the Ghost, but then Ghost commandeers a ship and escapes. The 3 main characters finally get to the Resistance base. They finally got to the fireworks factory, and they're introduced to some of the higher-ups, and then there's this business guy backing them, but then it winds up that he's mostly just a warmonger, and he also doesn't have any face in the scene that he's introduced. Next episode, it seems like we're going to learn more about this business guy, and he seems like they're going to have discussions about how, he's more than just a warmonger or whatever. I enjoyed this episode definitely a lot more than the last few, and I think it had a lot more going for it as well. First, they actually gave some depth to the non-Japanese faction. Watt seems to be a pretty good guy and feels bad about North America basically annexing Japan, though only because he thinks it's going to lead to a poor quality taiyaki. I think in general, this guy has a lot of interesting positions, but for the absolute worst reasons. It also introduces what might possibly be, a main concept of the show, which is the AI war versus, human-based war. This is definitely not a new concept. Off the top of my head, I could at least think of a few shows, that explore similar concepts. Gundam Wing is the first kind of robot show that's coming to mind, but I'm sure there's a ton others as well. But I think that this concept is more relevant in 2021 than it is in years past, so it could be interesting, especially now that we sort of have a better understanding of how AI works and maybe even the right kind of terminology and concepts to, describe it and make it a little bit more relevant to the current time. So I do think that this episode gives the show some more potential specifically to explore some of those concepts, but it's unclear if anything's actually going to be done with it. The show has introduced a lot of interesting concepts: the annexation of Japan crumbling to a variety of factors, old age, economic, environmental, the relationship between the Japanese people and the different blocks. Now we have the AI versus man-operated machines. We have the warmongering, but so far it hasn't really explored any of these in depth or done anything interesting. However, this episode does give me a little bit more hope in the last few that the show might get to something kind of interesting. On the other hand, it's already episode 7. People are going to start dropping off the show if they haven't already, if it doesn't start doing anything interesting. Anyway, thanks so much for checking out this video. I do anime reviews on Monday and figure reviews on Wednesday, and please join me for this Wednesday's episode where we're going to take a look at the Vilkiss from the anime Cross Ange. Thanks so much and keep collecting.